And he just made reference and said, the developer will come here and we're left with the white elephant. So that's not what the community wants, so that's why all of this, you know, is very high concern, because nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody, you know, things are cloudy, there's, you know, there's no questions at the end of this, there's no period at the end of the sentences. Once things get done, that's it. Everybody, even though you are the owner, we're left with the, you know, if it becomes a negative impact, we're left with it, and that's something that is a concern. So, with all of that, I'd like to open up to questions to everybody else.
Let's cut to the chase. Tell him what you want and see if he'll accommodate you. What would you like to see?
Me personally, what my concerns are?
He's given us a certain amount of leeway, right? He's made certain accommodations.
Let's
You'd like
open
to
it
get a
up.
little more?
Right.
No, you tell me. What's your alternative to the way he's got
The
things now?
alternative would be basically.
Tell him what you want him to do and see if it's practical.
You already said no. It basically is. There's too many apartments with too many people.
And not enough parking.
Well, that's not
And not enough parking. People is number one, parking is number two, because all of that is a ripple effect. And, you know, the people that live here have to deal with this on a daily basis. We have to get our cars out of the little side streets, bring them in, and we have to go behind the school buses in the morning, and
How
then
many
have
people
to.
do you want him to have in your apartment? Ideally, how many?
I don't really know, but a
Well, you
lot
gotta
less
be
than
able to
what
tell
it
them
is.
that.
Open it up to the.
Sorry. Joe. Yes, Joe.
My concerns is everybody in this room and the surrounding area. And it's all about location, location, location. We're talking about a project on 2 tertiary streets. And why I say location, that this project is in the jurisdiction of Community Board 11 and the 49th Precinct. But if you go a block away towards 180th Street, it's Community Board 6, 48th Precinct. Go another block away to East Tremont, Community Board 9, 43rd Precinct. We're just scratching the surface. With this, it's way out of character with this Van Nest community. We all have a vested interest in Van Nest, and we want to keep our character. And basically, I am cautiously pessimistic about this whole project. What was the intent when Mr. Sachs purchased this property a short time ago, knowing that it was R5? Was the intent to build 3 or 4 four-family houses, or was the intent what we're looking at now? The height was brought down, but green space was taken away, and shadow studies, traffic studies. We still have no plans presented to us. We're having all these meetings, and yet there's no plans. And basically, Van Nest, we have been had, you know. My family, I'm proud to say, bond-based construction, bond-based excavation in Westchester, their policy is not to build where the community doesn't want them to build. And we're not going to be a sacrificial lamb. I don't care how many meetings there's going to be, hearings with BSA, I'll be at every single one of them. And Van Nest, open your eyes, please.
I hear you. Yes, Linda.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to make it past the first meeting, okay, because I've been working. But I've been living in this neighborhood for 66 years, so I know what it was like back in the day. These streets were never made for the type of car traffic that we have now. And they will never be repaired to be that way. We are stuck with what we have. The average family has at least 2 vans, if not 2 cars, and we have very few apartment houses. I'm sorry, I don't mean to turn my back.
No, that's okay.
Okay, what we would like to see, what we would want to see, we have to be understanding that the way the budgets and things are now, and the way that life is as it is now, we can't go backward. So this gentleman purchased that property with the idea of building a house, whether it be the two-family houses, which personally, I hate those little two-family houses, because they're up on top of other houses, there's about this much inch between. I understand that we may not like the fact of a big building, but we also have to understand something else. The city is looking for property for a homeless shelter, and they are trying to shove them down the throats of every neighborhood. Right now, we have a gentleman who's trying to work with us. It may not be what we want, but looking toward the future, we have to deal and work with what we have. Traffic is never going to be the best. I don't care, we have complained, and Joe will tell you, I complain at every meeting because of the Morris Park traffic in the morning, going southbound downtown. It's backed all the way up to Bronxdale Avenue. Coming home at night, it's backed all the way down, going in the opposite direction. Van Nest is always blocked because of the lights. I disagree with you on one point. We've been working, the community board has been working with DOT to get those lights fixed. So, just because you came, doesn't mean you're going to get fixed. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the other thing is, we want people who have a stake in our community. If you get somebody who's buying a car or a condo, they have a stake, a financial stake. Yes, we would like to know about the subleasing, because Parkchester right now has a problem, that they a major problem where they sublease. So yes, we would like to know more about that. And if possible, they not be able to do that. However, when you have somebody who has a stake in where they live, they care more just as the person who has a house. Now, I've lived in the same house for all these 60 years. Yes, the prices have gone up. Yes, the water bill goes up. Everything goes up. It's not to say that this property is not going to up our values or decrease our values. But as regards to a homeless shelter, I'd much rather have this and work with this man and let him keep working with us than to get a homeless shelter. Because then you're talking about foot traffic, and we already have pedophiles up to kazoo. She will tell you, my block, the 1600 block, has 6 of them. And we have a myriad of kids, little kids now, all over the place. They seem to have sprouted up over the wintertime. But what I'm saying is, he has come down in height. He has widened it some, but there's going to be at least, if I'm right, about 10, maybe 15 feet between that and the next building. So it's not like it's being jammed up against another house. We already have buildings. It's just the idea that we don't want to see another building, like on the corner of Van Nest and Van Buren. But if it wasn't him, it would be somebody else. And you can bet your bippy, if it was a homeless shelter, it's going to be a building. And it'll probably be built worse than what it is. We have homeless shelters now on the corner of East Tremont and Morris Park Avenue. Those apartment houses are homeless shelters. And wherever you put a homeless shelter, you have to have transitional housing. He has not been able to get transitional housing put up as yet. So that when those people transition out of homelessness, they have some place to move into. So I do care what goes on in Ward 6 and in the 48th precinct, but this is our home. And we have to work with what we have and get the best deal for us. So, am I completely happy? No. But, compared to what it could be, and what he could do as of right, and not even bother us and say, look, I'm tired of dealing with those people, at least he's working with us. If you could give us a few more parking spaces, we would be happy. But the problem is that you're never going, the way houses are being built now, they don't build with enough spaces for everybody. They don't have to.
Right.
But if he could give us a few more spaces, say 30, he's given us 27, correct?
24.
24? Okay, I thought it was 27. Well, if you could give us a few more spaces, because the problem that we have is, with the parking as it is now, and I understand what you're saying about the driveway. There's not enough parking for the people that live here. My tenant has to park on Garfield and Morris Park and walk home at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night to get to Van Buren Street because there's no parking.
That's right.
And I understand.
We want to have the maximum amount of parking. We didn't eliminate any spots. We tried to get every spot we possibly could.
I understand.
And just have a square footage issue.
So whatever you could do, we would like to work with you rather than have the downside, what we could have. But we do have to look at the fact of this is life as we have it now.
By the way, there was a trade-off, which was one of the things discussed in the taller building that was higher but narrower.
Mhm.
There would have been parking on the ramp. Could have had 4 more parking spaces that were there if I could have gone taller.
But the problem with us is, we don't want to have to get up and look out my back window and see that building. I understand, the building is gorgeous, I've seen some of your buildings, they're beautiful. But I'd much rather see the shorter one than the taller.
That's why we presented these.
All right. Thank you,
Mr. Sachs, we've heard different things over the months about this project. As being first a rental building, but now the assurances that you've made, I understand that this is going to be a condo.
One thing at a time.
But I understand that this project can change. It can change in 6 months or a year. So we want assurances from you that this project goes forward, that this project is going to remain a condo project.
We have to give the assurances because we are going out for public financing. And the borough president and the assemblyman and the councilman, we have gone to asking for their support to provide end user subsidies in the amount of probably between $30,000 and $35,000 for the end user that's there. About $750,000 that the borough is pledging towards the building. That's only because it's a home ownership opportunity. And everything will be written up in all of the documents, everything that goes through the financing, everything is a for ownership building. Look, we looked at this building originally at the site and said there were a few opportunities that we had. One was to look at townhouses. The other was a 19-unit, high-density, 1-bedroom, we could, as of right, building that could go into this space. And it probably would have been a Section 8 building. It was not the kind of project we wanted to get involved in. And that's why we thought, as it was well articulated, that we saw this as the best opportunity for the community. One which would bring people who would have pride in their community through ownership versus just another building. That's up there.
Okay, Mr. Sachs, I think I heard you say that the borough president promised some capital money for your $35,000 per unit. Is that in the capital budget this fiscal year that we're in now?
The grant is in for this fiscal year, but it depends on when we ultimately break ground as to which year it will be.
Oh, it could be
But the
rolled
grant
over. I did the
proposals
capital
are already
budget to do
submitted,
2
yes.
borough presidents, and we spend millions of dollars a year on projects like this. So if it doesn't go in 18, if you're going 19, or going 20, it depends on when you're going into the ground and when you can begin construction. But how much money did you get from the borough president per unit? 35,000?
About it. It's not, there's the borough president's allocation, there's the assemblyman, and there's the council.
Okay.
They are each saying that should we move forward, looking at with community support for dealing with this, they would hope to be able to commit their allocations as well.
And what's the
No
total
one's made
amount of
it. $750,000 was the total amount that we were looking for.
From the VP, the assemblyman, and other levels. Okay, thank you very much. Joe raised the issue about no plans having been prepared. Is there any reason why, besides the sketches that we see here, we don't see any plans on the project?
There are plans for the larger building. We did not go through, and we have rough plans to make sure it was feasible on the shorter building. Those are available.
Okay, so the original plans for the larger building are available.
Right, that's how you got the counts and the square footage.
Okay.
So
The final question I have is really for my neighbors here in Bass who are here, who actually live here. How many of you who live either in apartment buildings or live in private homes would be interested if this project goes ahead the way it is in either moving out of your rental apartment and buying one of these condos at the rate that we're hearing between $350,000 and $450,000? And how many of the homeowners who are here would be interested, not that you're going to definitely do it, but how many really would be interested in selling your homes and perhaps moving into this development? Just a show of hands, I'm curious.
I have a question. It would depend on the square footage of the apartments.
Okay.
We don't have that information, so you just can't say what you
Hold
jump
on
from.
one second,
from
Mr. Sachs,
20 to
what's the
20.
square footage of the apartment? What are we talking about in size?
They range from 900 to 1,385, almost 1,400 square feet.
So 900 in which unit? Was that one bedroom?
They vary, because some of we have 2-bedroom, 1-bath configurations, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, so they vary in size. It's, you know, it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle when you put these.
Does that answer your question, or you really would need to see something more?
You have to see, you can't just, because in your mind, what is that really, you know? So,
What is that? It's not a bad size.
Thank you.
My house, two-family house, 18 feet long by 40. So it's approximately 1,400 square feet.
For, what's your point?
For a
His
three-bedroom
house.
house.
For your house. Oh, example, I got you.
So I mean, it depends how, like I said, how the spaces are proportioned. But it's not small. I mean, Bloomberg is coming up with 250 square feet. These little cubicles that you put a bed in.
These new homes that they built over the
No,
last.
no, it was an apartment idea in Manhattan, that they changed the zoning code so they can get smaller apartments in certain areas.
Right.
This is, if they're telling me it's between 900 and 1,400 square feet, they are decent-sized apartments. I'm just giving a comment.
That's why our unit count went down originally when we were looking at, I think we were 53 at the top, and we were at 51. And because we increased the square footage because of the ownership models, not rental models, that's what increased the square footage and brought down the unit count.
I know your original permits, I know, and I remember when they came out in 2014, if I'm correct, or whatever, when it first became on public record, the apartments were 41. They were 41. I seem to remember that, reading that online. There were 41 apartments. That's why I was kind of surprised when it was the end one.
Because that was going to be a rental.
That was going to be rental.
And I thought it was going to be 51.
Right, so,
Then when we went to the ownership
Right.
model,
right, the
It
application.
was going back and forth, yeah, there's all kinds of numbers out there.
I'm Dwayne, I'm co-developer with John here. The original application is in front of the
Speak
BSA.
up a little bit.
The original application that's sitting in front of the BSA board is for 53 units, 50, that's the unit. We reduced it in our second meeting that we had from 53 to 49 and then 47, which we're at now. So when we talk about we reduced numbers, we did reduce the number of apartments down to 47.
but I think what you're referring to is when we put in our original plans to get the denial, it's just, you know, procedurally, you go to the Department of Buildings and you have to put in a plan to get a denial. Once you get the denial, you can then take your application to the BSA. So what went in was a very original design for a rental building at 41 units.
Okay. Okay. Joe?
Bernadette, what you showed, that clipping from last week's Bronx Times reporter about Pelham Bay, that's the old Chateau Pelham,
Right, right.
about the 10 stories. Could you picture this project being proposed in Indian Village or Pelham Gardens?
No.
I adamantly urge this group here to vote no way to the gateway.
Yeah, and I mean, there are good things and there are pros and there are cons. So, and yes, I'm sorry. What? Oh,
I'm sorry, sir?
I would like to know, since Bob brought it up, we never got the answer from the people in the group, would they
Well, I think
do
the
what
answer
Bob
was that
proposed?
nobody was willing to raise their hand.
Well, the one fellow raised his hand and the
Well, he has a
conversation
question-
changed.
No, that's it. He has a question about the size of the apartment.
Right.
And I think based on the size and other factors, if he could see it and see what it looks like, then he might consider that. So
Well,
we have of the
We don't
20
have a
some odd.
model,
Yeah,
we don't have a model
correct,
Exactly.
right. It makes it very difficult
to
to
make
go
a
ahead and
decision.
make that decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a valid
My
question.
question
Go right
would be-
ahead.
My question would be, is the answer based on the community wanting to support it, or is it based on a broader picture of going outside of the community?
Is what answer? What do you mean?
For as